Part 185. Divine System of the Strongest Card Supplier in the End Times, Doomsday Strongest Card Supplier. Author, Shu Yu. Chapter 1841. As Queen Natasha spoke, the expression on her face became more and more unique, and there was a hint of a faint smile. Fang Fan was immediately delighted, but he did not expect that Her Highness the Queen is quite dark-bellied. Don't. You can't do this. I have contributed to the Chu Kingdom. I am the Duke of the Chu Kingdom. Come on. My army. Send my army over here. Kill them all. Duke Haig, who was trapped in the Zuxian sword formation, trembled unnaturally and violently, and his trill gradually came out as he spoke. Chu's magic water can melt everything in the world. Now you have two choices. 1. Let go of Bai Piao, and then roll back to the sword formation. I will control the sword formation to kill you. 2. I will use Chu's magic water to corrode your hands, and then manipulate the sword array to kill you. Fang Fan shrugged, and as he spoke, a smile couldn't help showing on his face. He still had to show his confidence. You can't do this, no. Whirring. Let me go, I swear, I will not fight against you in the future. Forgive me, you must forgive me. I don't want to die, I really don't want to die. I have the status I have today, and I have spent too much. I absolutely do not allow anyone to destroy it, no one. Whoever blocks my way, I will destroy whoever. Duke Haig was chattering while his body trembled inside. It's just that not many people care about him at the moment. There is a lot of nonsense, but how useful can it be? It's all over, it's all settled. Fang Fan grinned, and the sharp light in his eyes flickered. Then he strode forward, opened the small black bottle, and poured out the Chi Yu magic water. Chi Yu's magic water began to flow down Bai Piao's thigh. I am Cao. It hurts so much. Damn, so hot. The leg of the envoy of God, Chi Yu's magic water was flowing on Bai Piao's thigh, which naturally caused some pain, and Bai Piao roared heart-piercingly in pain. He was too difficult. There is nothing more sad than this in life. Thinking of this, my face is dull. It's just that Chi Yu's magic water, which can corrode everything in the world, still failed to melt Bai Piao's flesh and blood, but left white marks on his thighs, which looked particularly abrupt. Chi Yu's magic water was still flowing slowly, gradually flowing from Bai Piao's thighs to calves, and then obediently flowing towards the ankles. At this moment, Duke Haig, who was holding onto Bai Piao's ankle, was trembling all over, with a look of horror on his face. Now completely caught in a dilemma. Holding Bai Piao's ankle tightly, the Chi Yu magic water will directly follow and corrode his hands, and then he will die tragically in the sword array. If he chooses to let go of Bai Piao's ankle at this moment, he will still die tragically in the sword array. The way of life in front of him has been blocked, and he has only one way to die. This dead end is so brightly in front of him, making him feel desperate from the bottom of his heart. How so? How could it become like this? Not even a chance of survival was left to him. Divine System of the Strongest Card Supplier in the End Times, Doomsday Strongest Card Supplier. Author, Shu Yu. Chapter 1842. The resentment in his heart was frantically gathering, making Duke Haig's complexion distorted. The mad desire to kill in his heart has exploded, and he wants to cut everything in front of him into pieces. Pain. When Chi Yu's magic water touched his fingers were instantly corroded, even his fingernails were corroded into a puddle of thick water. The severe pain made him a little bit fine. He trembled his fingers, and then pulled his arm back, with frightened colors flickering in his eyes. The pain is crazily concentrating. At this moment, he roared out directly. Hesteri's roar showed the resentment and anxiety in his heart. When Duke Haig's hands left Bai Biao's ankles, Bai Biao hurriedly pulled out his thighs, collapsed on the ground, and gritted his teeth. Boy Fang Fan, this thing is too poisonous. Damn it, my leg, lost feeling. Damn it, it's hot, I'm lying. Bai Biao grabbed the big rock on the ground, and then directly hit it with his head. The severe pain made him gradually become a little crazy. The state of affairs at this moment seems very real to some extent. Prince, his flesh and blood have not been corroded. How can this be? The Chu magic water in my Chu kingdom has never failed, unless the nether ghost jade can't corrode it. Could it be that his body was made of the nether ghost jade? Queen Natasha's eyes widened as she spoke, feeling particularly profound. What I say now seems to have a profound artistic conception. Fang Fan shrugged, he didn't know what to say about Bai Biao's body shield physique. Invulnerable, Xiaoqiang who can't be killed, these can be used to describe him. Just treat him like a freak. Fang Fan shrugged and said very frankly. Zhu Xian sword formation. Nirvana. Kill. At the same time, Fang Fan's attention was all focused on the heavenly sword formation in front of him, and he didn't dare to slack off in the slightest. Tens of thousands of Zuxian swords gathered together and directly attacked Duke Haig among them. The chilling atmosphere is rendered in the entire heavenly sword formation. Go, don't come near me. I'm invincible, I'm invincible. Don't. Get out. Duke Haig fell into a state of madness at the moment. While talking, his eyeballs instantly widened, and his body trembled unnaturally. He tried in vain to struggle, but unfortunately it was too late. His fate has been sealed at this moment. He is destined to completely perish in the long river of history. The sword chi was rough, it directly tore his body, leaving countless deep marks. I'm not reconciled, I'm not reconciled. Boom. Duke Haig's body suddenly exploded, and countless flesh and blood flew. Among them, a white light suddenly flashed, which made people subconsciously feel extremely glaring. Godhead. That's Godhead. We found Godhead. Bai Biao roared suddenly, his body trembled unnaturally, all kinds of thoughts boiled in his mind, his eyes became more and more deep. The purpose of his adventure to come to the ruins of the gods this time is the Godhead. The Godhead shining with white light gradually flew out and parked in front of Fang Fan and the others. Looking at this Godhead, Bai Biao gradually frowned into the word Chuan. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Divine System of the Strongest Card Supplier in the End Times, Doomsday Strongest Card Supplier. Author, Shu Yu. Chapter 1843. This Godhead, there seems to be something wrong. This is not a complete piece of Godhead. Only 1/3 of the way. Bai Biao said something suddenly, with a more or less disappointed expression on his face. Most of the Godhead that he had been thinking about was missing, and he became what he is now. It must be a lie to say that he has no feelings at all. 1/3. With a thought, Fang Fan slightly touched the Godhead in front of him, feeling a sense of heaviness inexplicably. Is this the Godhead you need? Take it and use it, 1/3 is better than nothing. That Duke Haig's combat power exploded because he possessed this 1/3 of the Godhead. Fang Fan smiled, and then sent 1/3 of the Godhead to Bai Biao. Bai Biao glanced at Fang Fan, his complexion suddenly became a little complicated. This is a Godhead that even the gods are fighting for. You just give it to me. If you integrate this Godhead, your combat power will increase dramatically, your cultivation speed will also increase rapidly. In the future, you will be able to practice any skills and combat skills with ease. You are equivalent to having part of the power of a true god. You are not moved. Bai Biao's thoughts moved slightly, and his expression looked a little serious. Not to mention anything else, from his point of view, he will feel very moved, which is a very normal greedy will. Godhead, this is the supreme treasure. Although the Godhead is good, the brotherhood between us is even more precious. If it's the whole Godhead, I'll take it away. I don't like 1/3 of the Godhead. Fang Fan waved his hand and said indifferently. The more Fang Fan said this, the throbbing in Bai Biao's heart became more intense. Brotherhood. Boy Fang Fan, I read you right. You are really reliable. My God Envoy, this life will be yours from now on. I have a reason to have this Godhead. My lifespan has been greatly depleted. Without the Godhead to continue my life, I'm afraid I won't survive 100 years. Let me be selfish just once. Bai Biao pursed his lips, deeply moved in his heart, and then held the Godhead, his eyes full of gratitude. After grasping the Godhead, Bai Biao's face suddenly became ugly. Puff. Bai Biao suddenly gulped blood, his complexion pale as paper. Bai Biao, what's wrong with you? How are you? Quickly use the healing card. Fang Fan's complexion changed, and he hurried forward to help Bai Biao. Whirring. Hey, this Godhead, has nothing to do with me. The attribute of this Godhead is contrary to my physique. If I forcibly merge, I'm afraid my last 100 years of lifespan will be directly damaged. Boy Fang Fan, I have let down your good intentions. Bai Biao couldn't help showing a look of disappointment on his face, and then waved his hand to return the Godhead to Fang Fan's hands, his eyes full of helplessness. Godhead, and attributes. Fang Fan was stunned for a moment, this was the first time he had heard of it. Of course the specific division rules are more complicated, but even if the attributes do not match, it is not impossible to force the fusion, as long as the attributes are not too conflicting. My luck is really not very good. It just so happens that this Godhead and my physique are at the two extremes. Boy Fang Fan, quickly take the Godhead away, I am so heartbroken. Bai Biao gritted his teeth and said, it's a pity that the Godhead can't be merged. Divine System of the Strongest Card Supplier in the End Times, Doomsday Strongest Card Supplier. Author, Shu Yu. Chapter 1844. Don't be depressed, there is still a chance to get the Godhead in the future. Isn't there still 100 years left? Fang Fan patted Bai Biao's shoulder, and then comforted him. How can I have such good luck, to meet another Godhead within 100 years? Hey, if Godhead were so easy to find, it wouldn't be so precious. I missed this opportunity, and I don't know when I will have this opportunity next time. Bai Biao sighed, feeling inexplicably melancholy. Believe me. If you can't find a Godhead in the future, I'll kill some real gods to match you with a Godhead. As soon as Fang Fan said it, he was domineering. Bai Biao was stunned for a moment, and then took a deep breath, it's really not too strong. If other people said that, Bai Biao would definitely feel that this guy was just bragging, with no possibility of success. But if Fang Fan said that, the possibility is extraordinary. Bai Biao's eyeballs rolled around, and various thoughts were churning in his mind. Gradually, he gained more emotions. Her Royal Highness, Her Royal Highness. Something happened, something happened. The armies of Chunyang Kingdom, Tian Kingdom, and Ake Feather Kingdom are overwhelming. In half a day's time, the soldiers will come to the city. A messenger from the Chiyu Kingdom flew over from a distance, and while talking, he couldn't help showing a look of horror on his face. The three kingdoms invaded the Chu Kingdom at the same time, and the shock caused by it can be imagined. How so? What happened? Is this the foreign aid that Duke Hague has attracted? Queen Natasha's complexion couldn't help but changed, and her expression became more and more serious. This is a major event related to the life and death of the Chiyu Kingdom. It should have nothing to do with Duke Hague. Duke Haig is not so stupid, he can't do the thing that lures wolves into the house. And based on his foundation in the Chiyu kingdom, he doesn't need any foreign aid at all. He's really too conceited this time, otherwise, if he manipulates the army under his command to attack the palace, he can be sure of winning. As Fang Fan spoke, he was doing a systematic analysis on the sidelines. From this point of view, the reason why the Chunyang Kingdom, Tian Kingdom, and Ake Feather Kingdom sent troops has nothing to do with Duke Haig. Natasha, what is the relationship between your Chiyu Kingdom and these three kingdoms? Fang Fan pondered for a while, and then asked directly, this point is more important now. Relationships, the four kingdoms are originally related to each other, but the Tian Kingdom has always been an ally of our Chu Kingdom. In addition, the relationship between the Chunyang Kingdom and the Chiyu Kingdom is closer. I don't know why they would gather together and suddenly launch an attack on our Chiyu Kingdom. Before that, there was no intelligence or news. If my Chu Kingdom was completely victorious, it might not be impossible to hold on for a while relying on the advantages of geographical advantages, but now Duke Haig has just had a turmoil, my Chu Kingdom's national strength has been greatly damaged, and it is impossible to gather too many people in a short period of time. The elite army of... As Queen Natasha spoke, the nervous expression on her face was beyond words. Needless to say, she knew how serious the current situation was, and if she was a little careless, the whole situation would collapse. Queen Natasha's eyes subconsciously focused on Fang Fan. For some reason, just looking at Fang Fan like this gave her a sense of security. Divine System of the Strongest Card Supplier in the End Times, Doomsday Strongest Card Supplier. Author, Shu Yu. Chapter 1845. The most important thing now is to gather troops and defend the capital. Gather all the rebels who followed Duke Haig, you recruit them in the name of the Queen, and exonerate them from their crimes, they should not refuse. In this way, even if a group escaped while taking advantage of the chaos, it is still no problem to gather an army of 100,000. If you send back the troops at the border, you should be able to gather 100,000 troops. In this way, there are 200,000 troops in hand. The number of troops in the other three kingdoms is only about 300,000, and it is impossible for them to bring all the troops, so each family should only bring 200,000 troops. The strength of the three families is 600,000. 200,000 is still a little less than 600,000, but if we rely on the advantages of geographical location and harmonious people, we may not be able to hold on. Fang Fan conducted a wave of analysis and reasoning in an all-round way. Although some details may not be accurate, overall there should be no major problems. That's the way it is, that's normal. Okay, I'll follow your orders. Queen Natasha nodded. The situation was too urgent just now, and she was even out of control for a moment. Although you are sure to hold it, you have to prepare for the worst. Will you leave here completely, leave Chu Kingdom, and take your subjects to live in another world? That world is tens of millions of times bigger than here, there are all kinds of people, there are all kinds of exquisite sculptures and buildings, and there are all kinds of amazing food. That is a magnificent and magnificent world. Would you like to come with me? Fang Fan just looked at the Queen Natasha in front of him. From the very beginning, he fell in love with these soldiers of the Chiyu Kingdom. Pull these high-quality soldiers outside to rectify a little bit, and then form a brand new legion, it will be extremely powerful. Follow you, together. Is the prince from that great world? Exquisite sculptures and buildings, are they more magnificent than the walls of our Chu Kingdom? Queen Natasha tilted her head and asked solemnly. The corner of Fang Fan's mouth twitched, he almost couldn't catch his breath. The majestic city walls of King Chu's capital? Are you sure you are right? Just when did the piles of earth Bangzi and the words magnificent be connected together? Fang Fan took a deep breath, the numbness in his scalp became more and more intense, and the feeling became even more profound. That's probably how it feels. I can only say, the outer city wall can be dozens or even hundreds of times higher than the city wall of King Chu's capital. The scale is so large that it can accommodate hundreds of millions or even tens of billions of people to live together. Fang Fan said lightly that he had already reflected some real situations. Queen Natasha's eyes widened, with sharp rays of light flickering in her eyes. She seemed very excited. What kind of world would that be? Prince, I want to go with you, I want to stay with you forever. Queen Natasha's complexion was slightly red, and while speaking, her body began to twitch unnaturally, and her eyes showed a look of infinite expectation. In fact, after in-depth communication with this Queen Natasha, I realized that the so-called Queen of Icebergs, that is all a superficial phenomenon, and it is all fake. This Queen Natasha is completely hot on the inside and cold on the outside, so she is going to give Fang Fan a wave of confession. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Divine System of the Strongest Card Supplier in the End Times, Doomsday Strongest Card Supplier. Author, Shu Yu. Chapter 1846. But this can't be blamed on her, it can only be said that Fang Fan's charm is there, and ordinary women really can't bear it. Fang Fan sighed softly. How much trouble did this damned charm make him suffer? Fang Fan appeased Queen Natasha, and then walked into the Zuxian sword formation in front of him, still showing regret on his face. According to the energy storage of this immortal executioner sword formation, it can still take more than 2 days for the city master, so it's a pity to waste it here like this. At that time, if there was no other way, Fang Fan would not be extravagant enough to kill Duke Haig with the Zuxian sword formation. Killing Duke Haig also exploded 2 cards. 2 holy cards? This is a surprise. Fang Fan nodded secretly, with a smile on his face. Holy Yang card, after using it, the Yang energy will skyrocket, and the special combat power will be increased by 10 times, lasting for 100 hours. Holy level recovery card, you can recover a holy level card that has not exhausted its energy. Note, the energy after recovery is still in its original state. Both holy cards are special type cards. Fang Fan's scalp felt inexplicably numb after seeing the first holy level aphrodisiac card. Just don't be too showy. This wave after wave, there is no limit to the operation. Special combat power increased tenfold. This is the rhythm against the sky. Fang Fan feels quite a pity. If the normal combat power is increased by 10 times, it would not be too exciting. The special combat power is a hammer for him. Even if he doesn't use this card, he is still the supreme powerhouse in this field. As for this holy recovery card, it seems like it was tailor-made for me. Just now I was still regretting that the Jade Immortal Sword formation was too wasteful, just this recycling card came. Fang Fan nodded silently, and the smiles on his face became more and more. This wave was perfect. Use the holy grade recycling card. Recycle the Zuxian sword formation. Ding. The recovery was successful. Congratulations to the host for getting a Zuxian sword formation card, and there are still 91% of the energy left. Fang Fan looked at the card in his hand, and then nodded secretly. There was also a 91% energy mark on the introduction, which indicated that this Jade Immortal Sword formation card had consumed almost 1/10 of the energy. Deal with these, there is still 1/3 of the Godhead to deal with. Fusion. With a thought, Fang Fan wanted to merge directly. Ding. The host already has a virtual Godhead of the Rage God. Do you choose to replace the virtual Godhead of the Rage God? Once the replacement is successful, the virtual Godhead of the Rage God will disappear. Fang Fan subconsciously frowned when a system notification sound came from his ear. This also needs to be replaced? In other words, if you want to integrate this 1/3 of the Godhead, you have to give up the virtual godhead of the Rage God. There are too many things involved in the virtual godhead of Rage God, so if you give up now, you will suffer a lot of losses. Fang Fan sighed softly, it was not worth the money if it looked like this. Look, whoever has the highest degree of fusion, just fuse directly. Fang Fan looked at several heroes and gods, then nodded and said. The wind and rain are about to come and the building is full of wind. The internal situation of the Chu kingdom is obviously relatively turbulent, and it is still necessary to survive the wave at this time. It would be great to be able to improve one's own strength a little. Boy Fang Fan, you can't integrate. Hearing Fang Fan's words, Bai Piao's eyes suddenly lit up and said. Divine system of the strongest card supplier in the end times, Doomsday strongest card supplier. Author, Shu Yu. Chapter 1847. Originally, Bai Piao felt that he could not integrate the Godhead, and was quite disappointed, so he was naturally very upset. But now that Fang Fan can't merge with the Godhead, there is more or less comfort. Maybe this is the feeling of sharing will and woe. No matter what suffering, everyone endured it together, and gradually, this kind of suffering became sweet. There is even a kind of graceful feeling of happiness reverberating in my mind. Fang Fan glanced at the gloating Bai Piao, and then said indifferently, it's because I already have the Godhead of the Rage God, so this Godhead is useless to me. Too many Godheads, is also a trouble. Fang Fan said this lightly, and seemed a little regretful. Bai Piao was stunned for a moment, and then his face was full of confusion. Too many Godheads, do you find it troublesome? Is it showing off, or showing off? Bai Piao gritted her teeth and looked at Fang Fan, and gave Fang Fan an angry look, which was clearly showing off. Boy Fang Fan, you are enough. Jealousy is the devil, I'm not jealous at all. As Bai Piao spoke, the gesture of gnashing his teeth was vividly displayed. But how could it be possible not to be jealous? It's just that in front of Fang Fan, I still have to pretend, I can't let anyone discover the little thought in my heart. Because of the sudden heavy troops from the three major kingdoms, the entire Chu kingdom became restless. The situation has gradually become solemn to some extent. Throughout the capital of King Chu, the army was mobilized frequently. The rebels of the Chu kingdom that were originally under the control of Duke Hague were gradually incorporated and gradually belonged to Queen Natasha. They stand on the city wall of King Chu's capital again, and they will show up in front of the enemy country as iron-blooded soldiers, fully demonstrating their bravery and fortitude. For these rebel soldiers, they essentially have extremely deep feelings for the Chu kingdom and even Queen Natasha. The reason why the siege of the palace was made before was due to the unconditional obedience to the order on the one hand, and the intimidation of the die-hard supporters under Duke Hague on the other hand. For these ordinary soldiers, they are always the most innocent. If there is a chance, they naturally don't want the situation to change, it's just that the situation is stronger than others, and sometimes it seems so sad. I was on Duke Hague's pirate ship before, and I thought I was going to go all the way to the dark. In this life, I will not be able to clean up, and in this life, I will not be able to be an upright person. But now Queen Natasha forgave their sins and gave them a chance to take up arms again to guard the capital of King Chu. Give them a chance to regain their honor. Making contributions is just around the corner. The time to wash away the shame of the rebels is now. The morale of these soldiers suddenly became high. Defend the king's capital. Flesh and blood forge the city wall. The enemy army must not step into the capital. Swear to defend Her Majesty the Queen. Fight, fight, fight. The turbulent and urgent shouts came, mixed with a frightening and shocking momentum, as if they could tear everything in front of them. The effect of subduing the rebels far exceeded expectations. Originally, Fang Fan thought that it would be good to be able to gather 100,000 rebels, but he did not expect to successfully collect 150,000 in the end. Adding in the troops mobilized from other parts of the Chu kingdom, the official army is 250,000. Divine system of the strongest card supplier in the end times, Doomsday strongest card supplier. Author, Shu Yu. Chapter 1848. This is the final details of the Chu kingdom. The total population of the Chi kingdom is only over 2 million, it can actually support an army of 300,000. This is really a miracle. Fang Fan murmured to himself, and then sighed sincerely. This is definitely an amazing miracle. More than 1/10 of the population is soldiers, which is too difficult for a country. Actually, the soldiers of our Chu kingdom need to reclaim the fields and grow the food they need under normal circumstances except when they are preparing for battle. Besides, the soldiers can do whatever they like in their spare time. There will be no restraints on them. In general, as long as there is no war involved, they are completely free. So the salaries paid to them will be very low, and many even join the army voluntarily without asking for any salaries. Queen Natasha explained that this is also the key to the entire Chi kingdom being able to form so many troops. In fact, it is not just the Chu kingdom, because of the protracted war, other kingdoms are also in this mode. What a perfect soldier! They are the best fighters, just like the people of the Huangzi tribe. Fang Fan sighed, and sharp rays of light flickered in his eyes. If he said he didn't feel any emotion at all, it must be a lie. At this moment, the thoughts in his heart gradually took off, and he felt somewhat emotional. The soldiers of the Chu kingdom, once gathered together and trained a little bit, they will be the most elite ace divisions. Fang Fan thought in his heart, sharp rays of light flickered in his eyes, and the smiles on his face became more and more at this moment. Excitement arises spontaneously. Prince, what's the matter with you? You smile, so wretched. Queen Natasha raised her eyebrows, and then said very sincerely. Fang Fan's face turned dark. How did you speak? I'm wretched? Nonsense. It is clearly nonsense. My little Natasha is getting more and more naughty now. Fang Fan turned his head and directly embraced Queen Natasha's slender waist. Immediately, his breathing sounded a little short, and he kissed Queen Natasha's red lips directly. There are still many people around at the moment. Oops. The maid Jenny screamed subconsciously, and then her face turned red instantly. She lowered her head and dared not look at Fang Fan and Queen Natasha, who were hugging. In the distance, Tianhumeyer gritted her silver teeth and stomped her feet resentfully. Bastard! After tossing and tossing for so long last night, he is still so lively. You know how to mess with flowers. Tianhumeyer's thoughts gradually diverged, and she couldn't help but think of the tingling scenes that happened last night. Thinking of this, Tianhumeyer's body trembled unnaturally. How did I become like this? Why do I think about these messy things every day? I'm not this kind of woman. Tianhumeyer touched her hot face and was doing self-hypnosis at the moment. Yes, it must be the influence of that bastard on me, who made him not serious in one day. That's why I'm thinking wildly. Well, yes. That's right, it has nothing to do with me, it's all that bastard's fault. Tianhumeyer thought about it, then nodded obediently, and dumped the blame on Fang Fan by the way. It was impossible for her to admit to herself that she had those longings. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Divine System of the Strongest Card Supplier in the End Times, Doomsday Strongest Card Supplier. Author, Shu Yu. Chapter 1849. After some affection, Queen Natasha collapsed limply in Fang Fan's arms, unable to speak at this moment. By the way, the fruit of the true God, where is it? Fang Fan rolled his eyes, then said with a chuckle. He remembered that this Queen Natasha had promised to give him these fruits of the true gods as a dowry. When Fang Fan thought of this, he inexplicably felt that the bride price could be turned into a dowry. It would be great. The fruit of the true God. At this moment, it is in the secret vault of the palace. It has been cultivated for many years, and it seems to have a tendency to mature recently. I'll take you to see. Queen Natasha groaned, and immediately led the way. Fang Fan followed behind. Back off. Don't follow me. Queen Natasha ordered to the guards of the Queen's personal guards. Fang Fan also waved his hand, telling the major legions and heroes not to follow. It can be seen that this secret library is of great significance to Queen Natasha, and it seems that she does not want too many people to know. Or, I'll just wait here? Wait for you to bring the fruit of the true God. Fang Fan pondered for a while, and then suggested that he is not the kind of person who likes to steal other people's secrets. This would make him inexplicably uncomfortable. No. No need. Although the palace's secret treasury is very secret, it has never been aimed at the prince. You are my prince, you can go anywhere in the palace. As Queen Natasha spoke, she grabbed Fang Fan's arm and walked towards the interior of the hall. Fang Fan and Queen Natasha acted alone, and even fended off the guards. Even when they left, they were still so affectionate. Everyone's eyes focused on this, and each of them started to brainstorm. Her Royal Highness, what did Her Royal Highness and Prince Fang Fan do? What else can I do? Today is their wedding day, and now the armies of the three kingdoms are about to arrive. Don't you understand how serious the situation is? Her Royal Highness and Prince Fang Fan may want to. What about taking advantage of this opportunity? Then what? What is that? It's just, hey, why are you so stupid? It's consummation. Hiss, I'm going, Her Majesty the Queen, my youth is over. It's over, I feel so sad for Mao. Hey, but speaking of it, Prince Fang Fan is so outstanding, he is worthy of His Royal Highness the Queen. A man of talent and a woman's appearance, a match made in heaven. Blessings must be blessings, but there is something wrong in my heart. The yelling is endless. These soldiers and subjects of the Chu kingdom looked at each other, and then began to whisper. Immediately afterwards, their infinite associations were launched. Tianhumeyer in the distance seemed a little lost in silence. Although she had expected that today would be like this last night, when this happened, she still felt a little uncomfortable. It feels as if something precious to me has been taken away by others. It's impossible for a man like him to belong to me alone. I don't know if it's my honor or my sorrow to fall in love with such a man. I just hope there is a little place for me in his heart. Tianhumeyer clenched her red lips and looked into the distance. The figures of Fang Fan and Queen Natasha gradually shrank in her eyes. Divine System of the Strongest Card Supplier in the End Times, Doomsday Strongest Card Supplier. Author, Shu Yu. Chapter 1850. Fang Fan followed Queen Natasha through a dark path, and could clearly smell some musty smell during the process. After walking for about 10 minutes, they came to a bronze gate. This is the secret treasury of my Chu kingdom, the fruit of the true God also grows in it. While Queen Natasha was talking, she immediately pushed open the ancient bronze door. At this moment, the pungent musty smell disappeared, replaced by a simple fragrance. The taste becomes more and more intense, giving people an inexplicable sense of sensory stimulation. In front of Fang Fan, a quaint tree appeared in front of him, about 2 meters high, not very majestic. At this moment, around the number, there were 5 red fruits hanging scattered here and there. This sacred tree was discovered in a deep mountain, and then it was moved here to be planted. For so many years, it took countless energy stones to cultivate it. At the beginning, I didn't know if it was the fruit of the true God, or it was written by the Duke of Hague. Queen Natasha spoke, and then led Fang Fan into the secret vault. With a glance at the past, in the secret treasury, there is a piece of gold and jade resplendent, and you can clearly see pieces of treasures shining with colorful light. However, most of them are ordinary treasures, and generally speaking, their value and meaning are very limited. As for the so-called energy stone that Queen Natasha said, it is actually an item not too different from the god crystal and star core, with extremely rich energy accumulated in it. Ding. The fruit of God was detected. Ding. The fruit of the gods is not yet ripe, about 3 days before it matures. When the system prompt came, Fang Fan nodded secretly. He couldn't wait for 3 days. It's not safe to put the fruit of the gods here after all. I moved the tree of the fruit of the gods to the small world of Shushan Pavilion to cultivate, so there will be no twists and turns. Fang Fan thought to himself, then narrowed his eyes and prepared to move. Ding. A warm reminder from the system, the small world of Shushan Pavilion does not have the ability to conceive and raise the gods of this world. The system sound came again, to stop Fang Fan from moving. Fang Fan frowned subconsciously, are you still so particular? At this moment, Fang Fan felt quite impatient. 5 fruits of God are completely enough for him to complete the task of seize. At that time, you will be able to directly obtain 100,000 strands of God's origin power and 10 Holy Legion experience cards. Any reward looks so attractive. Fang Fan took a deep breath, all kinds of wills gradually churned in his mind, and the thoughts gradually became real. Let's put the fruit of God here for now. It should take a few days to mature. We'll pick it when it's ripe. Fang Fan narrowed his eyes secretly, then said softly. Natasha nodded, she would not refuse anything Fang Fan said at the moment. In half a day, the armies of the 3 kingdoms will be concentrated under the capital. We have to go back and do some more deployments. Fang Fan sighed lightly, and then followed suit. Originally, he thought that if he could beat him, he would fight, but if he couldn't beat him, he would just run away with everyone from the Chiyu kingdom. At that time, it will not be a big problem to arrange all the troops and subjects of the Chu kingdom into the small world of Shushan Pavilion. But the situation is stronger than people, the sacred tree of the fruit of the gods cannot move its nest for the time being, and it is unwise to move it when it is about to fully mature.